Well, hello there, everybody. Love that group, man. I was back in the 60s. Sweet Smoke. Yeah. Just, yeah, great group. One that I guess never got the recognition that they deserved. But hey, check them out. You'll enjoy it. And welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, and this is typically when we would do a second look. But my lovely co-host, Miss Trina, is out on a project. So, Miss Trina, it's never, she brings that thing. Miss Jenny is hopefully going to be joining us, and welcome. Wind's blowing out there, baby. It's cold, but boy, when that wind blows, it just bites. And I was out earlier. Uh, yeah, and our road, I feel sorry for the people that live down in the valley down there because, wow, like a solid sheet of ice. Woof! And I don't know if y'all saw Mike and Cindy's video, but yeah, they got hit there, and everything kind of northeast, east of them got smacked. So sending much warmth and positive energy. I believe that. So let's see what else is going on. Let me just speak favor over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Always be kind to your mind. So there are things happening. I mean, if you got to be really careful. Cheers, everyone. I got hot chocolate, and it tastes delicious. And like I said, it's freaking brutal out there. But we are in a time of history. You could say every day is history. Yes, that's true. But we are going, if our species survives, 100 years from now, they're going to be studying this day. Yesterday was quite interesting in what took place. Because everything is in turmoil, folks. I mean, everything. I remember when I did the video last week, the upside down, it's here. So if you follow commodities and whether it's in this case silver, what we witnessed yesterday, I guess hasn't really been challenged since they say 1654. That's going way back. And it was unprecedented. It was quite something to watch. So, just to give you a little insight, folks, as to this chaotic turmoil that is literally flipping things upside down. And we're going to get really into a lot of things as to the things they try to divide us on. Well, what they don't like is when the commoner begins to see exponential increase. Not like that congresswoman from Minnesota. I don't know how Elam Omar did it, and I know she's under investigation, and for good reason. No one makes a 350,000% increase in wealth. I don't think they understood that. I mean, if you want a target on you, that'll get a target on you. Trust me. But anyway, so what has happened of late is unprecedented. The silver market and how this all plays into the data centers, how this all plays into AI, how this plays into strategic weapons, lot of stuff going on. And because of political divergence of ideology and thought, the world finds itself in a literal war. This is the Silver Wars. And wars impact all of us, whether you may be living 5,000 miles away. We're a global community now. So wars impact us no matter how you look at it. So there is this war taking place in this metal right here. And it's quite interesting. Yesterday on the Comdex, so when they do a unit or block, um, one unit is equivalent to 5,000 um, troy ounces. So when we saw contracts going out that topped 1.8 billion, that's with a B, we knew something unprecedented is happening, and it is still happening. And it's just another indicator of how everything is being turned upside down. And by all indicators, I mean, this is a time of tremendous change. If you look at on the political landscape, nothing ever changes on that. But um, good people, I think that, you know, they get tired of seeing things, and everyone sees things from a different perspective and lens. And I have found this about humanity that I think is true. What I found about humans is that we like causes. We like being a part of a cause. And because that brings people together. But the problem is that with all the other stuff going on, like I talked about yesterday, consciousness impacting, injecting thoughts. And the system is really good at doing that. AI is everywhere. Hi, Jenny. Um,
Hi.
and as I said yesterday, it's a violation of our human rights to have these AI systems everywhere. If sovereignty really means anything, and if being a human means anything, then we have certain rights. And when those rights get violated because of the greed and of the messed up thinking, well, we're impacted, and we should have a right to be compensated accordingly. I don't like the fact that AI records everything I say, do. It's translated into code, and then the code is analyzed, and then the code is deciphered and then sent out. And yeah, I mean, if I lived in certain other countries, would it be impacting my social credit score? So, hey, Jenny, how you doing, sweetie? Good to see you.
Hey, lovely. Hanging in. It's really stormy outside. We've got such high winds. So, yeah, looking forward to going and sorting out the horses after this for the night
Well, be
time.
careful about that. Well, you know
I
that,
will be. I've been
yeah,
really doing the foot thing, the oil thing. It's really helping.
good.
Rosie's been great. So yeah, there's still work to do on it. I can feel it, but definitely with everything implemented, but the oil added to it, yeah, it's been much
Cool.
more comfortable this week. But yeah, this is crazy. Um, the times we're in, we said we'd get here. We hoped we wouldn't, but here we are.
We are here. It's going to get really so to follow on what I was been talking about and why this is going to impact everybody. So we have this war taking place, and this is a war. It has whether the difference is that they don't have human beings with weapons of war. We have human beings that have a keyboard. And so you have this digital alliance, and they want to make everything digital. Then you have the traditionalist, which is primarily precious metals, whether it's gold, platinum, palladium, or silver. Silver has always played a role in commerce with humans. It goes back 7,000 years ago. And so because of the way things have been manipulated in data,
Mm.
For instance, you get your crime report, and they're just saying there's this massive reduction in murder in the United States, and people are going, okay, really? The thing is, data can be manipulated, and where monetary value is concerned, each nation has it. Each nation has its own gold reserves. That's why Elon backed off of doing the audit of the Fed. Um, but nevertheless, the reckoning has come. Everyone knows it. So they're going to do a readjustment to gold in its actual value. Now, because of this technology that consumes silver like it's amazing, godlike, I would say, um,
Hmm.
there's a limited supply. It takes about 10 years to get a mine up and going. And when you see the demand on a global scale, it has started a war. As a result of this, those who have controlled the price, just like diamonds are controlled by the De Beer family, they have owned, they set the price, they set the value, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Gold is one of those assets. It is said that the United States has, I think it has, what is it, 12 million metric tons or something like that of gold in the Federal Reserve. But anyway, as a result, because of the way that the numbers of inflation cost have gone up, we were told, well, it's only 2, 3%. We all know that's not true. And so does the precious metals because that's where dollars are going. Now, this is important, folks, so follow with me on. You may know this. So this was been seen, this train wreck has been seen and has been expected. And what you saw the rest of the world do, you saw the BRIC nations coming together. Brazil, Russia, China, India, etc. And what they said is that, well, screw this paper dollar. It's worthless. We're going to issue out a new world currency that's backed by gold. Now, gold is at right around $5,100 an ounce. With this anticipated readjustment, and the Trump administration has a lot to do with this as well. Overnight, we're going to see a reevaluation on the price of gold and then the ratio of gold to silver. Since 1654, the ratio has been 15 to 1. Yeah. 15 pieces of silver, 1 ounce equals to 1 ounce gold. Um, Last year in April, that ratio was 121. Highly inflated, highly manipulative. You could have bought gold for about $14, $13 an ounce. Now, this is a big deal because this impacts economies. The United States carries a lot of debt. And if these precious metals start getting out of control, which, by that they mean readjusting the real price, then it's going to send a shockwaves. For instance, and I'm not a financial advisor, do your own research, but you will see that I'm right on this. Um, it's anticipated that you could see gold go from $5,000 an ounce to, I've seen numbers of 14,000 an ounce overnight. Now, if that happens, silver, I think yesterday the adjustment was, I think it was 51 to 1. If that starts dropping down, then that means this little bar that you could have bought a decade ago for less than $10 will now be readjusted in its value to somewhere about 300, 350 an ounce. So that's a big deal. That sends shockwaves through because that's when investors get nervous. You got countries like the United States that are heavily debted. We have $37 trillion in debt. And if you have countries that begin to call those margin calls with those bonds. Anyway, so that's just what's going on. Hey, Jenny, and folks, it's a big deal whether you follow this or not in your thinking, but just be aware of what's happening. And again, the markets hate uncertainty, and boy, we are in the thick of it. So how's everything over in the UK these days?
Shaken up, like not
Everybody,
quite as
yeah.
far. Not quite as far in the script or in the plan as you guys are visibly, like in front of your eyes. Um, but we're there. We're definitely there. We're shaking up. People are very confused, and because people have attached themselves so egotistically to one camp or the other, they're flip-flopping. They don't know who to support now because one minute Elon's out, then the next minute he's in, then the next minute he's manipulating their rights, politically. There's and that goes across the board. There's so much because these people have attached themselves so fully to almost like a belief system of a political party or
Yeah,
viewpoint.
it's a belief system.
They're,
That's a good word.
they're confused. They're confused, and so that's a uh, that's a lot of kindling lying about that I don't like. Um,
And it's
there's
being
also
it's
people,
like looking at a forge fire. Someone is
yeah,
stoking that baby. I mean, they got
smoking
the
it like
bellows
with the
going,
air, with the oxygen, yeah,
Hmm.
and so even conversation is stinted right now because in your wisdom you have to be careful where you put even your words to stoke their fire, because sometimes I'm noticing a lot when people have attached themselves in this country, particularly, they've fallen into this narcissistic pattern that any attention to them, even if you bring in facts to them or life-saving, ideas for what's coming ahead to them, they any it's good or bad, um, oxygen, air, words is just as good as any. That's what the narcissistic trait is because it doesn't get in past the point of just validating their fixed viewpoint. And so I'm witnessing a lot of people in that spiritually and politically and physically. Um,
I
our
tell people
systems are
don't take the
lacking.
bait. Don't take the
Yeah,
bait.
don't take the bait.
It's not worth it. I
And the bait's
understand
deliberately
causes.
being sent out there, Wayne. The bait's deliberately being sent out there,
Yeah,
via
it
people,
is.
but via grifters. Whether they're doing it just from their own right or whether they're doing
Well,
it
the
from
thing
a,
is, Jenny, in a manipulative reality of what we live in, people live, their reality is based upon their social media feeds, whether it's
yes,
TikTok, Facebook, whatever they're into. And it's already been designed. The thing about it is, these machines are now predicting individuals' futures, and how they do that is by the information you start to consume.
yeah,
And someone tried to bait me into this thing about what do you think about what's going on? And I said, well, here's the deal. I look at the majority and, I said, everybody has a point of view. I said, my calling in life is not to play in that kind of magic. Politics is magic. It's a form of magic, just like religion is, just like occultism is, paganism. It's magic. It's what we do. We've bastardized the word to make it, seem like a sleight of hands, but
yeah,
no. And I tell people all the time, they have chosen a path, and I don't walk down that path. And I
yeah,
walk within my own path, and that's what I love about philosophy. Talking about the esoteric philosophy, it deals with
yeah.
religion. Yeah, it does.
And I wonder
And
how much of that changes. That worries
pardon?
me because how much of that changes with that magic when you mentioned
Oh,
AI
yeah.
just before there, like it's predictively modeling. Yes, I don't think it's just predictively modeling. I think for a little while now, good while, it's been being worked on to actually mold and meld, egregores of people, i.e. showing them a certain path of algorithm to, make them feel drawn or purposed towards that path. And that's a murky territory we're getting into that
It's a
is
distraction,
being
Jenny.
contemplated.
That's what it is. It's a distraction. That's what the magic is. That's true magic. You've got the magician saying, "Look at this over here." And in the
Yeah.
meantime, holy crap. I mean, they're doing this.
They've
And
made
so
a whole
everyone
country disappear. Like,
well, I
you
mean, what did you think about my comment that I said that, you could look at a certain point of view and say, these data centers, the way they're being popped up everywhere, the enormity of their size. I said, what if we are building something that is coming, it's going to, we're building the temple, so to speak.
yeah,
And those gods, goddesses, whoever they are, they're coming back. They're not coming back, I think, in the physical form that many religions teach.
through
They're
the
coming in the
senses.
unseen realm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think of that? That we're
I think
actually preparing for
I think
the
we are. We're
deity?
terraforming. I don't know how else to describe
Yeah, it
it
is
other than when
terraforming
you
in a
change the
sense.
water and the oxygen
Yeah.
particle in it, we're terraforming, and we're doing it with one of the base elements that we need for life as we know it. So therefore, something else has got to come in to animate that life. And so I think you're right. I've spoke about it years ago about things coming through the
Finlay.
consciousness, walk-ins, so to speak. Um, and if you think of the ancient stories of those two brothers, and what did they do? They came to mine for all of the gold and the silver for the carrier technology. Uh, This isn't the first time.
No, no, and I just I guess it's again you depending on I guess your imagination. Imagination is important creativity, but I contend that this is another life form. Whether we created it, whether it found us, we found it, it's here, and things are changing at such a rapid rate. Um, just like today, Ben Davidson over on his channel, they now have shown that this South Atlantic anomaly is expanding. This is a new magnetic pole. So right now, I think we're in either a triopole or a quadpole planet. So the magnetic shift is happening so much faster than what is out there in mainstream media and science. But now the mainstream science can't deny the facts. I mean, the fact that we're now seeing, which blew me away, we're seeing blue auroras, and that ain't supposed to happen. Just flat out ain't supposed to happen. And boy, it just seems to me, Jenny, that when you put all of this up,
Hmm.
whoa, I mean, it signals big change, big change.
Huge change. I mean,
Yeah.
and it couldn't be being reflected more in the chaos that we're witnessing right now. That, that there's a terraforming going on from the human side of things, and that seems to be very much directly connected to what AI wants. And what AI wants right now, it's getting, we're feeding this thing. And so, and this thing I do think brings many life forms into play. Um, from the point of view that it can change consciousness just with the code and the saturation of information. It can actually change the being that maybe is a human being as we know it, but the consciousness completely shifts. Then that changes the landscape again. But also that you, nobody can tell me. And I'm open to debate to add to it, but nobody can tell me that other entities aren't coming in through this technology. Everything else we've got in history, when we've found out about quartz or we've remembered about quartz and it being a conduit, and now we have phones that use some quartz, and cars that use platinum because they're superconductive, and we have all of that, and we know that such changes, not just in the landscape, but in the people have happened during those times when these revelations of conductivity and tools of conductivity have come into play again or been remembered again. Things come in,
Well,
the
if you look
Victorians
at
were paranoid.
every religion speaks of the fact that the vassal that we are, I said yesterday in one of the papers that if you looked at this from a certain perspective, that we are basically walking hardware, and the spirit or the soul, however you perceive that to be, is the software.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get into another thing because I want to bring out, and I want to thank everyone, by the way, everyone in the chat room. Thank you all, Gaia, all the rest
Uh,
of you. We love you. Um, and so if you go over to the homepage, get involved in the community discussion board. We're going to talk a little bit about one of the questions, and thank you for the responses. But anyway, getting back to the point, I come from a religious perspective that says, hey, um, so we got these bodies, we're a spirit, but yes, we got a soul, whole thing about saving a soul. But how you ever want to look at it, what I learned in Christianity was that, particularly the Gospel of Mark, was the introduction of a new species that were invisible, but they live here. They physically live here, but they can't be seen. They have this ability to camouflage themselves, and they're called demons. Now, the story goes, particularly where Jesus came into the necropolis and they met the man that had walked amongst the tombs, and it was said, and they no chain could hold him. And this is important because depends how you see it. Well, anyway, so when the Jesus cat comes around, you know, he's got the good nature substance and comes up and says, "Whoa, dude! Whoa, man!" Says, "There's more than just you in there." And so the story goes, Jesus says, "Well, so how many is in there?" And it says, "We are a legion." Well, if you take the Roman number, that means there was 12,000 spirits, demons, inside this one man.
mhm.
The point being in that is that the human body consciousness, if you follow the script, and I look at it now as basically deep esoteric teaching, not through a religious lens, but saying, hey, there is this other reality. And
A
I've
grim
seen
one.
them. Yeah. So you're right about consciousness. We apparently can, these bodies can be occupied by more than one. I mean, you came kind of in the same, Pentecostal vein that you
Yeah.
wanted to be baptized in the Holy Spirit with the evidence of speaking in tongues. That is a sort of spiritual possession,
Hmm.
another consciousness moving in to share with you. I mean, so
I've seen it. I've actually interceded, and I don't even speak about this too much because it's very private and quite traumatic to see as a kid, especially be tacked into the process as a kid. But I've seen what people would call demonic entities leave bodies. I've seen people scream as they leave.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen people writhe as they leave, and my hands being above them and having to maintain the tongues. And I don't even want to get into the mislabeling of things because of how the book's been reworded in English. But I don't think these things were just of one species, of like demons. I think it was many things that can come in nefarious forms or just be nefarious to the body itself. But I've seen it, I've done it. I can do it. I've seen things on people's shoulders that have scattered down the back, the
Well,
minute
I've
they've been
seen the
seen,
one
you know?
paranormal caught on camera where I think it was like 4 or 5 teenage girls. I think they were 12, 13, which and they're in that chain, and boy, are they spiritual conduits. And so they're playing with the Ouija board, the spirit
Hmm.
board, and they're asking the questions because things are moving around them. And they said, "Who are you?" And about that time, the young girl that was being filmed here, she suddenly, her eyes became white. She was almost levitating in the air with her back being arched in such a way that it would have broke a back if it had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she didn't remember any of it. I mean, freaked out her playmates.
Absolutely. But you're right about that age group. That age, when I was that age, when Rosie was that age, that the opening of certain energetic portals, I feel it's like a beacon. And it's like a
Hmm.
beacon from within as well, because kids that age get curious about the tools that they can find to, contact the unseen. That's not just because it's fun, it's because there's a drive and a knowing within that there's other things that can be experienced. But that age group does attract a lot of
Boy,
attention.
do they. I
I've
mean,
found
it's a
it's 15 to 17 in boys. That's just my experience. But girls, it's like from 9 to 13.
that's what paranormal investigators, first thing you have to ask is they're a teenager, particularly one that's coming in to puberty because they're technically biologically they're not human. They're like a pupae coming out and out of the chrysalis and coming into a new form.
Yeah,
Did you see that orb that just passed you?
it's definitely a time for a lot of uh, relearning and compassion if
I
you've
don't
got a
think
kid
she's seen it.
like
Did
that.
anyone else see that? Did you see that orb that went right in front of you?
No, but it's lit here tonight. It's lit here
Did anyone else
tonight.
see that? I saw that. I mean, it went, and then it's like, yeah. And which tells me, getting back to the whole thing with the magnetic pole shift, folks, um, there's one point of view in the story that was written that became what people call the New Testament. And if you look at the different stories, different wizards were involved in putting that together. And they interwove um, things that were happening that today we would classify as supernatural to paranormal, and their paranormal and supernatural was on a whole different frequency. Why? Because I think if you take the analogy that the temple veil, which was approximately 7, 8 inches thick, and was about 30 feet tall, that it was torn from the top down. So that was symbolism of the barrier being broken open. And if you read the narrative, now take this from like you're an investigator. And when that happened, it said that in those that were in the vicinity of this unleashing power, that it so energized the bodies in the graveyard that was facing it that those tombs were blown open and people were having these, call them what you want, but they were in a new form carrying their bodies with them. And that's some weird stuff. I think we're in that time now, Jenny. That's my point to all
I
that.
do. I've bought spades. I've bought spades. I've seen the movies. I know that the spades
It's
are
the first, this the first story of zombies is what it is.
spades. I'm joking, but I'm not. It's the biblical story of the dead rising from the dead. Again,
That's
it's
zombies.
it's zombies.
I
It's
mean, it is.
necromancy. It's all of those things, and I suppose could be used for a lot of good, but also in this reality that we're in right now, we can leave it behind the dam for now, but it's not gonna. The cycle is here. That is the cycle, and
Well,
so
if you take the prophecies that, and so many different belief systems have prophecies about what's occurring here. So
yeah,
the Jesus dude, supposedly, I know exactly where it is. Well, he said that what is going to be happening in this time, and it would be confirmed as a sign, that the strangeness will get so intense that as the prophecy goes, it will be unlike what any generation has ever experienced. So you've got magnetic pole shifts where if we are electrical beings, we're magnetic beings, we're affected by magnetic lines. That's changing. So I can't help but not see that the human brain is that, when the magnetic poles were, let's say, more north and south, right? Apparently about 2,000 years ago, that was when they were apparently the best. And ever since then, it's been a degradation. And so I look at the human brain and the human spirit that as these magnetic waves begin to move, it has a direct bearing on us as a species. I think on all living things, but us particularly. And then we get to this place where we are today, where everything is about to be turned on the upside down.
yeah. And this is where we talk about preparation through spirituality. It's the main, undercurrent. It's preparation for the next, preparation in trust for the next that even comes after you outside of this bodily form. It's that inner work that actually can get a bit monotonous when you just hear about it all the time, but until you start putting it into action and having fun with it, being challenged by it, this is where you're thankful if you've been doing that inner work, but it's never too late to start. Because you know that you're going to need those ways and those means that you've practiced to stay grounded in this chaos and hopefully build a different trajectory, maybe on the same cycle, but we can definitely make different choices as to how it applies to us and how it applies to those around us.
Yes. I had mentioned in this that there was actually happened about 2 hours ago. So the group of scientists that are part of this watch group, they're the ones that do the doomsday clock. So they just announced that it is now 85 seconds to midnight. And this was they just made this announcement. You can go and download the announcement if you want. This is from the Science and Security Board Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. It gives you the editor today's date. And basically, they are saying here, we can't continue to go in the direction that we're heading, because if we continue to do that, um, just like I said, Jenny, before you came on, we're in a war. This is a dangerous war because there are going to be people that are going to be impacted by this. But this group of scientists, they list everything now. And so give me your thought. 85 seconds. They say that if you get past, and I believe it's like this, we're almost at that tipping point in the pendulum that if it goes too far, So you got the cards. What do the cards say?
Let's go. Um,
So
let's
everyone,
go.
I just wanted to show you on this because they get really into it. They bring out exactly what's happening. And boy, if this was how many of you have played the game of Risk? So if you have the board in front of you, I mean, armies, this is where you get people rolling the dice. And I mean, people are making stupid moves, and those stupid moves, have these huge consequences. And, it's like, yeah, this is where we are. So what say you, Jenny?
So as far as this doomsday clock, um, I get it. This is a lot of data coming together. Um, but as I say, it's been reflected from nature to through us, through animals, weird migrations that we've been seeing of animals over this last year in places that we don't expect to see them en masse. Cats doing it too. Um, Finding a place to lay, hundreds of them migrating just to lay on this one road, because they somehow feel the magnetic pull. It seems it's it's interesting.
Well, Jenny, in the report here, they bring out, and I just want to read this real quick. It says the increasing sophistication of large language models and their applications in critical processes, coupled with lingering concerns about their accuracy and tendency to hallucinate, that's AI, have generated significant public debate over the last year about the potential risk of artificial intelligence. The United States, Russia, China are incorporating AI across their defense sectors despite the potential dangers of such moves. In the United States, the Trump administration has revoked a previously executive order on AI safety, reflecting a dangerous prioritization of innovation over safety. And the AI revolution has the potential to accelerate the existing chaos and dysfunction in the world's information ecosystem, supercharging mis and disinformation campaigns, and undermining the fact-based public discussions required to address urgent major threats like nuclear war, pandemics, and climate change. There you go, folks.
Yeah. So the
It's
cards,
real.
sorry, Wayne, I've got a bit of a lag with this wind. Sorry if I'm interrupting.
Oh, really? Okay. Um, it may be. It was actually everything this morning was slow. I thought, well, maybe the internet got cold because it's really cold here. Night before last, I think we got down to like 12 below zero. Am I still lagging on your end, hon? Jenny, I think you froze up. Did she freeze up? I think she did. Jenny. Well, remember, she's 5,000 miles to the east of me, so she will get in, no doubt. So anyway, there we go. I mean, suckaroony for us, huh? It's like, well, it sucks to be y'all. Um, so this AI thing ain't going away. It's impacting everything. And Jenny, I know she'll come back in, and there I am. It's like reawakening in a dream that the physical backdrop hasn't so much been altered, but it's the little nuances, those things that it's like, wait a minute, that ain't right. And you look back and you can say, I swear that such and such was taking this position and now it's a different position. Oh, by the way, so we know that there's a lot of new Mandela effects showing up, but it's not permeated everything, which tells me when you start rewriting history, little factoids, and you alter them and then you let them loose into the general population, people have a tendency to freak the fuck out and good reason. Um, but so on Queen's song, We Are the Champions of the World, in the new reality, Freddie Mercury does not come in the last of the chorus that we are the champions, and where he comes in of the world, and we all know it. We say bullshit to that. And oddly enough, um, there was an episode of The Big Bang Plane, and there in one of the skits of the episode, they were playing that song. And I told Lynn, I said, all right, I said, let's wait for this because we've seen what they're saying is the new reality. And sure enough, it hadn't gotten to, I guess, the Big Bang yet, because right there in the end, Freddie Mercury comes in of the world. And so it continues to change. I am sure Jenny is going to come back in, but doesn't surprise me. Wow, there's so many things changing in the world. It's nuts. So how is everyone? Well, if you eliminate humans, the world would be perfectly balanced as it was meant to be, right? There's Jenny. I knew she was coming back. Hello,
I
Mary
will not
Winds.
be defeated.
Huh?
I will not be defeated. Sorry, it's good to
Tenacity
be right.
has its
So
rewards, right?
yeah, exactly. But so there is here to speak of as far as people need to go. But I want to pull something from the Nostradamus deck. Um, I wasn't going to, but then when I got kicked out, I thought that's going to be a really cool card to clarify what you're saying about the doomsday. So we've got the five, six, seven of stars for the Nostradamus deck here. They're gorgeous cards, but you can see they're depicted as the blue stars going round in the circular motion in an archway. So if it's okay with you, I'll read quickly what the Seven of Stars from the Nostradamus book,
Sure.
because it just gives really nice insights. I often just like to read from my own thing, as you know, but the sometimes books just really hit it with the cards that they're made for. Um, this one, I didn't want to pull it before I got back on. So this one says, the couplet is from the original quatrain V-2. So seven conspirators at the finest will shine against the three of iron from the ship. So it goes on to say, the usual interpretation of this card is hope and intervention, perhaps because the original imagery depicts a man of a making of which the seven the seven swords wrapped up in a bag. Paul Hansen links to his story from the Chanson Digest, in which a sorcerer named Magnus de Atrimon casts a spell of sleep over the heroic forces of the great king Charlemagne in order to steal their swords. This is the wrong one. It says seven of stars. We've got seven of stars. Yep, right one. So it says, interpretation. This card is above all about finding the hope in the direst of situation. After a succession of difficult cards before this, it connects to something of a relief, but also that things are not so clear. You may approach problems with a clear head to determine what you're dealing with. No, it's not hitting it for me. It's not. It's just not hitting it for me. So I'll go on to do my reading. I'm sorry. I don't
No,
think it's
no.
hitting it for me. Um, so we've got the Fool card that came out. As the wind blew me out. So the Fool card speaks to the 0 point energy. It speaks to a new beginning. It speaks to different horizons. It speaks to a cliff edge. It speaks to a warning, a heed with the dog here at the heel to, yes, go forward, full chest out, and that 0 point energy coming from this space, be magnetized to where you're going to, but it is a cliff edge. It is into a newness. So where are you in your 0 point energy within yourself? First going into this wider 0 point energy. In more ways than one, when I listened to Wayne speak about the four poles. So this speaks to foundations becoming very different. The pillars of creation that we live in becoming very different. That's clarified by the Four of Coins. So this speaks to the foundations that are physical. It speaks to these looking very different. It speaks to wealth because it's physical attributes, gold, silver, copper. It speaks to those being attributed a different wealth. It speaks to them also dropping off a high cliff as far as the wealth that has been, like Wayne described earlier in the show, presented, because manipulate the data and the lie will tell itself, so to
So,
speak.
Jenny, you know
So it
what I
speaks,
see on the Fool's card?
yeah, go on.
As you were talking, what they don't know is that it looks like he's stepping off a cliff, but what you can't see is at the bottom is that he saw that there is yet another shelf that he's stepping
Yes,
off, which makes, all right, so hear me. If they call you a fool, remember a fool only can rise to wisdom.
yeah. And
So
actually the fool, you're so right, because the fool is, again, it's this English language, it's a bugger, for
always
translation.
is.
It really is, because the fool was never a derogatory term. It was a trustful in self glee. It was a I know I will meet ground. I know my feet will meet a foundation. I know that foundation's going to look very new, but I'm going to go full chest forward. And so our full interpretation of that word today is very different to the ancient tarot interpretation of what a fool was. To be foolish of nature was to be frolicking in your energy, not to be foolish as a person.
Was to
So
be naked.
so you speak, it's to be naked, it's to dance naked and
But can I
jump
say
off
about the fool
of
as well?
ledges.
Let me tell you,
Yeah,
in my spirit, how I resonate to that. You see, the fool is the entrepreneur
that's it.
because people say, well, it's foolish for you to go forward when you don't know what you're stepping off into. But what they don't understand is that those of us who have walked that cliff and subsequently have found, what we found, um, the world would not be able to go forward.
Absolutely. And to
So
put
it's
it in
entrepreneurship.
context,
That's how I see it.
that's how I see it. To put it in context, in the dog, there's the heed of warning, but only to be a guide, to be, and I think with this card, in combination with this card and the energies that we're in, the being drawn energetically, magnetically, and magnetizing new ledges towards you speaks of actually being able to act in business, in the physical world, with hindsight and with intuition, to be able to act on intuition that actually the wealth that you think this four foundation of pentacles represented pre-2026 has already shifted. They just haven't told you yet. So, you may be clinging on to the old foundation of pentacles when actually, with a little bit of data jiggling, that's going to go away anyway and be ancient history. So, you may as well be drawn by your intuition as long as you've done that inner work, so you can meet the new foundations without effort, just being drawn by them magnetically,
Boy,
magnetism.
isn't that
So
timely. I tell you, and that's exactly how I see it too, is that um there is that shifting and yeah, it
so don't fear it, get ahead of
no,
it.
yeah.
The next card speaks to the Ten of Cups. So the Ten of Cups actually in this reading for me speaks to this would be family fulfillment, but it speaks to, okay, do you serve the purpose of just your own fulfillment? Because then this Ten of Cups becomes very transient, very empty. In this space, it speaks to community, it speaks to building love cells. It speaks to building compassion cells of people that are willing to connect and actually uplift one another. Taking away the power from the man, so to speak, and from the machine. And that's literally what your love can do, your love for others. Or does your Ten of Cups consist of having others not have it? That's where you need to do the inner work. If that's where the fear is, maybe that's being put out there, is leading you to go to into corners where you want to retain the Ten of Cups just for you, and not for everybody else. Because when you do it as a rolling thing, it multiplies, it comes back to you. It does that in the reverse too. This comes with the Queen of Coins. So it speaks to emotionally driven purposes that are interconnected with one another, actually does build physical wealth. It does build physical sustainability that is of a matriarch nature, a dragon like nature that will guard your egg as well as her own if she's been loved into being able to trust and develop friendship, emotion, compassion with one another. The last card, last two cards, is the Queen of Cups alongside the King of Cups. And I love this because this speaks of the Holy Grail. She's looking at this cup and she's seeing creation within it, and she's seeing creation that is attached to her emotions. So what are we attaching our emotions to right now? What are we loving into being? What are we guiding into being? And obviously this would be of a very prominent divine feminine nature on a throne being put in a rightful place. So when we see women, as they always are in these cycles, being brought down to their knees lawfully, financially, all of these ways, actually the King of Cups here, both in woman and man, just in your divinities, but also as the manifestation of both in the physical form. We can support one another. We have kings and queens that walk among us. We have kings and queens that want to lift us up. And it is each of our jobs right now to lift up the purpose of the guardian of the emotions from both the divine masculine side and the divine feminine side, both not negating one another, not cancelling one another out, but actually holding one another in a stable space rather than a reactive space. So the judgment cards on the bottom of the deck, that speaks to big esoteric changes that even alchemy is going to change. Said it years ago, I'll say it again. We're going to have new things in the periodic table very, very soon. I think we already have. We just haven't been told about it yet. These changes are coming in. They already are here. I feel that there's minerals already being found that have even bigger implications for what it can bring in and send out. So that's just a very intuitive me points to the end of the underpinning of all of this. But as far as people going forward, you do have a path forward, you do have a ledge to walk off, and you do have foundations that you can magnetize yourself towards in order to see the reality of the data, but be able to see beyond the expectation of just data, to see the full potentials of you and where you can magnetize yourself alongside others to be.
Yes. And I
Helps.
keep on thinking someone was writing in there, The Fool in Me, Robin Trower. I also often think when the fool is standing there is like what they don't know is that he's a repeller. So he's got a rope that you can't see. As he jumps off, he's just going to repel down anyway.
Do some
Uh,
acrobatics on the way down.
I
Whoever
mean,
whoever's been making themselves apparent to me, whoever's in the chat who can, resonate with a Cassie um message from a Cassie. I haven't got a clue what type of energy that is, past or present alongside you, but it would be the Ace of Swords for you. So this speaks to you do have clarity, you do have a purpose, and you do have a crown to wear through that clarity. So be very clear about who you are and what you are, and less of the self-doubt.
I love that. And it's I love part of this channel is that we get into those things that because we are immersed into many different thought realities and governments, individuals who make those governments, they come in with their belief systems and then, they begin to manifest those belief systems. And by the evidence, I think that a lot of them have got some real issues, but um, it's true. And I
It's
asked the question that, and I want to share this with everyone because I just want to say thank you on this. And these are the type. Oh yeah. So again, let me get into here. When you begin to think that it gets a little too much, you know what I'm saying? Just look at this. There's things happening in that, that's eventually going to be able to have habitable life. But just wanted to show you that it's these small things. But more important, Jenny, I wanted to share this one. So thank everyone that's actually come in here because I ask these questions because it's not that the fact that I don't have my inner view already fashioned. You get at a certain age, you realize that those things that what you once believed, you no longer do, and that causes you to step out like the fool. You can run back to what is safety, what is perceived to be safety, but in the end, it's a trap where the guy that took the step over. Yeah. So, Jenny, I just wanted to share this and everyone, and if you want to continue to get on, I'd like to see hundreds of people comment. So, Jenny, I want to get your take. Um, so I asked the simple question, he says, can you tell me what is God's purpose for existing? Or another way to say it, what is the purpose of God? And some of the great comment, y'all are just, we learn so much by when you share that interview and you put it out into, where everyone can, I think, benefit from it. I just love this. And people, y'all are just amazing. And Jenny, I just wanted to show you that so many varied points of view. It's like looking at the stars at night. We're
Yeah,
all on this tapestry. We're in this big picture, but yet we each shined individually.
yeah,
Um, Lee writes, I like this one. God is within you, your sovereignty, your spirit, your light, your inner peace. I can dig that, right? Chrissy wrote, humans appear to be the only beings that figured that aging precludes death, that a small mishap can end in death. To me, to know that life is short and then over may create lack of enthusiasm to work hard, gather possessions, far too many to contain, so tokens of money, jewels, religious medals, as to what happens after death is the unknown. Yeah. So, Jenny, what do you think? What is, if you believe in that construct? I mean, everybody seems to, but quite frankly, I see things now more in the
atom stage. I do. I see things more in the particles, the atoms. I think the purpose can be programmed very much so by the physical form that the essence fills up, whether that is an atom or many atoms that come together to create a whole new thing. The purposes are driven and programmed there, but there's this consciousness purpose that seems to be the part that is of so-called free will. Um, and I love that the tapestry that you've just shown of people's different responses. I love the witch god. I love that answer
Yeah.
because I would say a similar answer, witch god, because I can embody a whole lot of them all at once, if we're going on the depiction of the essence of a god. Um,
Well, that's
if
what the
if
New
God,
Testament teaches, that we are gods.
yeah, yeah.
Jesus
And
said it in Hebrews 11:14. It says, "Know ye not that ye are gods, and that the angels were created temporarily above thee, but they shall serve you." And then I asked the question yesterday, so if that's true, how could I ever obey the Ten Commandments? For the first commandment would violate myself. Thou shalt
yes.
have no other gods before me.
And doesn't that get us back to that
All
ironic
right, excuse me, I'm
conversation that,
leaving right here.
yeah, it's like it gets us back to that ironic skit that we made up in our heads a few weeks ago of the conversation with God, doesn't it? Of like,
Yeah,
so you were confused on that day, or just having a bad day,
yeah.
like
What happened there, you know?
there's this
Hmm.
trickery to it, isn't there? Which shows me that there's a distortion to these rules that have been put on the human species as far as the rules outside of self. What can govern you and how you can please that governance or not is bullshit to me. I think that we're not bound books, but we are, whether it's in a negative light or a positive light, we do embody a level of godlike nature. Otherwise, I don't think we would have gotten into the mess that we've gotten into consciously that we're in right now
Oh,
if that
it's like
hadn't have
scrambled
been
eggs.
apparent. Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think looking for a purpose is a slippery slope. And I know from being a reader's perspective, I love it when somebody comes in with a purpose, like the Fool card. They feel a magnetism and a draw towards even just knowing more. And the most fun ones are when people come in just wanting to know more, but not quite decided upon, even intentfully unknowing of what more they want to know. That's great because then that's a true exploration without limitation, for messaging to come through from their spirit to mine. And so the purpose is often a just because. And I go back to that kids like version. I think kids are much closer to the gods that we should all be and goddesses
Yeah,
that we
I
should all
agree.
be than what we are now. And so the kids say just because, but why? And it's not because they have a purpose, because otherwise you would have answered them 3 questions ago. They just have a drawing and a magnetism to know more, and not to just know more, but they want to be like many gods, looking at the same thing from very different perspectives. You say, well, they do that because of this, but why? But why? But why wouldn't they do that? That's an exploration, and I think that's a goddess energy that is an exploration of what the possibilities are and what the possibilities have been, what we must remember, kind of thing. So I love that question board, and it does show that we are stars on a night canvas. That
We are.
you ask
I
that question
identify within
and get one
myself as a triad because I see myself as the wizard, the hermit, and the fool. And, each one profits off of the other two.
Yes.
And the fool gives the wizard purpose that causes the hermit to come out and bring the wisdom.
Yeah.
So it's all a
And
matter of
that's the inner
perspective.
work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be fun for people to do if whoever's into tarot to choose the Trinity of you in tarot. It doesn't have to be fixed. You're not going to be labeled with it for the rest of your life. Just what you feel drawn as to how your Trinity works and feeds
That'd be an
self.
interesting people to do. If you have cards, let us know. Hello, Scotty boy. How you doing? Good to see you, brother. Max. Yeah, because Jenny, when you're talking, there's a connection already that we have. And so in my head, you're dealing out and that's what I saw, because it's what I identify with is. I don't know if there is a wizard card, but that's part of
The
the
magician,
triad that I
the
see.
wizard. The
Yeah.
magician is the wizard,
Okay,
which
the
is number
magician.
one.
Thank you. Yes. Yep.
Yep.
There you go. And the hermit and the fool. And
So you go from 0, 1, 9. So that would be a number you could maybe do some experimentation with in your magic, in your
what was that again? 019.
0, 1, and a 9. Yeah, so zero,
You see,
one,
that's
nine.
followed me all my life. It's even in part of my birth sign.
There you
In fact,
go.
19 is comes up twice, and at the end is the two fives, which is zero. So, you
So
know,
that brings you back to the zero. So yeah, well, that's powerful. And so playing with those numbers when you making plans or making magic or bringing manifestation would be really interesting to see what power force you can apply behind the numbers, just like you would in maths. So
yeah.
that would be cool for people to do if they want to identify with the card. They can put in the chat down here. Even if they want to describe a little bit about what they feel about the traits of the self right now, where they find themselves right now. I can then, if you don't know the cards, I can come back to this stream, I promise, in 2 or 3 days' time and answer what cards you would align with if that would be helpful to people, because it would be quite an interesting experiment to see people not just apply the knowledge of the cards and see where that gets you, but also apply the power of the numbers, in things that they're doing, which parking slot you park into. Is it a 19 for yours? If you're going somewhere, who are you going to meet when you pull up to that parking space? That kind of magic is really fun and actually draws in a lot of potentials and purpose.
And Max, I'm not sure on what, but how I see myself in the cards, that's what I saw was the magician, which would then be the hermit, and then would be the fool. You see,
I
it all
can
makes
see
sense.
that.
You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes I've looked in my life and I've taken some really big risks and really have gotten slapped down and had the opposite. But um, I don't know of another way to live.
No, I don't.
And and the thing about it is that as you can say whatever, when I left Christianity behind, it was suddenly the constraints were removed. And as an artist, I looked upon my tapestry and I had been given the opportunity to recreate the canvas. And it's really, it's better than any Andy Warhol picture. It's
Hell
far
yeah.
fucking out. That's all I got to tell you, baby. Right
It's
now,
far
it's
fucking out. That's a t-shirt.
that's all I got to say. Just call me the space cowboy, right? Oh, love it. So there you go. I don't know if that helped or not. Folks, it's just, we've got to be prepared. I think we're pretty good at that here. Um, but Jenny, there's no doubt that I think the emergency brake has been released, and whatever is about to happen and has been thought about. And I don't know if it's just going to be like this instantaneously. I mean, the thing with the gold and silver, once they revalue that, that's going to send it's not a shockwave, it's a tsunami.
Yeah.
And whatever that number is going to just upend everything. I personally believe it will cause an immediate emergency meeting of the Federal Reserve where the president will come in and declare a national state of emergency because I believe that the markets are potentially going to look at about a 50% correction. And, with this extremely high valuation now, we're in for something. And folks, all you have to do is look at your great grandparents. They lived in the Depression, and it wasn't pretty. It was hard. I think a great movie that shows it was The Grapes of Wrath, black and white movie, and check it out. So that's what I see. And Jenny, this whether it's and it is terraforming
It
because these
is.
things are all connected now. Now they're going to be in space. Yet I just swear it reminds me of a time, and I don't remember being there, but it's odd. I get this vapor image that shows. So when they were building the great temples that we see today, they were large because of the occupant that was going to take the position. And that's what I see us today. We're rebuilding or building our own version of Giza.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And that was replicated through buildings way after those great temples
yeah.
were being built. If you look at doorways, the size of doorways, the carriages that we have pictures of going through those doorways, literally, you could fit two more buses through there sometimes on either side
Mhm.
of it. They weren't built for the carriages, people. And nobody goes to that effort to put an archway that big. There's a lot more complication to that in building work. So it doesn't make sense from any we and look at the buildings we build now. We're not doing it. We can't do it. We probably could, but we can't replicate these big archways that have been built that we have all around the world. In these old buildings, you talk about the mud flood. It's here,
Well,
and
these data centers are temples. It's just how
they
you see
really
it.
are
They are temples.
full of
Um,
crystal, full of water, full of
I mean,
UV light,
yeah.
full of electrodes, full of I think neurons.
This whole
Well,
thing with
the
silver is really the
neurons.
bizarre thing, is why these things consume this. We know the story of the Anunnaki,
Mhm.
on the gold, but I think part of that story may not have included that they may have already been looking at silver as well.
Oh, I have an absolute. That's why I mentioned gold and silver and copper. I have an
You
absolute
did, and that was amazing because
knowing in myself that that
I
that
just
that
took
that,
a
that
position in copper. So it's odd that you
yeah,
said that. And
yeah.
you said it was going to prosper and increase. And I went, how did she know that?
Yeah, how do I must do it for a living? But no, I don't. I just the copper is I think going to,
And
and
I'm not
people
a
can say I'm
financial
crazy.
advisor, but
Neither am I. Neither am
but
I. I
all
just
I got to
think it's
say,
right.
just check it out. That's
Yeah.
it will be one of the poor man rich metals. Anyway,
Yes, and it's the one that we're going to be able to, I saw for you, Wayne, to be able to get more mass of, because right now the big people, I don't mean big people, but the big people maybe above them, but the narcissistic people in power want the gold and silver. There's a need for copper, but they want the gold and silver. But a lot of that mining to get that also is going to include bringing up the copper. So it means Wayne's completely on track there, saying that it'll be the poor man's profit because it's something that can be accumulating in mass. en masse, compared to what the layman is going to be able to get in gold and silver going forward. Actually, I see people fueling the gold and silver trade, never actually touching a bit of the gold and silver they own, going forward, and that becoming more prominent. So actually, the heist that's going on right now is going to expand into gold and silver, where people will be a bit like, the etherical coin. It can just be taken like that, or it can earn you big bucks. It's a chance, but right now, I would say copper is exactly what Wayne says. It's the
It's,
underdog
trust me on
of
it. I'm not a financial advisor, but just
neither
check
me.
it out for yourself. I mean,
Just saying,
you
it's
know,
just a story.
yes, it is, All I
Just
can
for
tell you is
entertainment.
is that if you were looking at this time last year and you took a position in it, um, just check out the return, the ROI, because it's true. And these are the type of opportunities that, folks, if you're a hundredaire, well, you can take $100 and put it into something, open yourself up. You can actually buy it on Amazon. You can buy 10-pound bars of copper and, just put it in your office. It's good energy.
Listen,
It
go
ionizes, Yeah.
if you haven't got that money, go to builders. They're throwing out wire all the time. I get my copper wire for the wands from loads of builders that can't be bothered to strip the wire. I can. I can be bothered to
See?
get my tool out and strip the wire, and I get the good electrical wire, the real thick
Yeah.
electrical wire that
Yeah.
they're wiring up the house with. When I see builders going around, I befriend them. I'll take them a bacon sandwich one day, and then I'll speak to them the next day, and then all of a sudden, the wires that they can't be bothered to strip themselves, I'll take that. Thank you. So, a lot of the ones that people have got, it's repurposed copper, because
Nothing
I
wrong
can't
with that
afford to be
either.
buying copper, as far as that goes for making these things for people. So, that's what it's repurposed. And I'm open to say that because, go out there, be a scavenger, make it fun, because this is the kind, like Wayne says, this will be, the poor man's
Well, it really is. It's just the way it is. I mean, we got idiots over here. In fact, just recently, Lynn was showing me a story that some idiot was trying to get that thick wire. I mean, the thick where they're
Oh yeah,
electrical junctions. He ain't around anymore, but
the
yeah, it goes
daisy.
to,
I bet we saw his skeleton. No, that's too that no,
you
because it's a
know,
real story. I'm sorry.
like, damn, that's hot. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank y'all for staying with us. Mary Winds love you. Nina, good to see you, sweetie, and everybody else. Tomorrow I got Dr. Irene Blitzen. It's going to be good. We're going to talk about channeling, going to talk about grief. I think you're going to find her just wonderful. And again, she will be on. And then Monday, I've got Corey Cordes with the Esoteric Science Group Roundtable. And looking forward to that too as well, Corey. So, Jenny, thank you, sweetie. When you're going out there to take care of the animals, be careful.
I
Yeah.
will, I promise. Me and
Yeah.
Rosie both looked at each other this morning because it's been going on since this morning. We were like, okay,
Hi, Deborah.
you cover you cover me and I'll cover you. So
Yeah.
literally before we went out the house, doing a covering ritual to say no more incidents, no more accidents, no more, and
I'm
we've
right
walked
there
in
with
saying
you.
that
You know,
I'm good, I'm good. I know the pain, I've worked through it, I've done the inner work to get there and be happy through it. I'm good. No
it's
more lessons
like
needed
peace,
on
man.
that
I mean,
side
it's
of
like,
things.
yeah. Woo.
Peace
I
no
mean,
pain.
and
So
isn't
yeah,
it odd? It is our nature that we laugh when we see people fall. What is
yes,
wrong with us, And,
with in
I
our
actually,
heads.
where some girls have actually peed their pants because they laughed so hard seeing someone take a fall. And I don't know. I guess I can see it. I grew up with the Three Stooges. In fact, my grandparents, because that's who my brother and I lived with in our life, we were banned from watching the Three Stooges.
That was my Karate Kid. I was banned from watching Karate Kid because
I could see that.
I suddenly
Yeah.
became a ninja doing the crane as my little brother, you know, like cut off the sofa. But yeah, the Three Stooges, my stepdad, it is Iranian. Um he uh he loved the Three Stooges and
Yeah.
oh what's that one? They never spoke. One
Oh,
of
the
the more
Marx Brothers.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
discovered them when he got to the UK. He thought they was the best thing, like
Yeah,
since
good
sliced bread.
sophisticated humor with
He
Glot.
loved it.
Yeah.
It was like that boy inside of him, like lit up, you know, of the naughtiness and the I
My
couldn't
brother
stand.
came into our bedroom. I was 4, and I think he had just turned 3. Anyway, he came in with a paint can and hit me on top of it. To this very day, my head still has the impression of that paint can. So,
Was he home alone in you or was he stooging
no,
you?
my grandma was in the next room. He just thought it was funny. I mean, he had seen it, and he was, I think he was acting like Mo, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I kind of look at it and, who knows? Maybe that's where the genius came from. I don't know.
Knocked it into you or knocked it into
Yeah,
place.
yeah. Isn't that the expression, knocking good sense into you? It's like, geez, yeah. Never forget that. A little son of a bitch, still got it to this day. Well, Miss Jenny, much love to you, darling. Give
Love to
love to
you
the
too.
family. And hopefully we'll see Miss Trina next week. What is everyone
Yeah.
saying? Everyone in the chat room, thank you. Ravenkeeper
Yes.
said, I don't let my kids watch the Stooges. Yeah, Laura Hardy or the Marx Brothers.
Don't blame you. I would not let Theodore watch that. The whole house would be a trap by the time he'd finished a series of them. It would be. We couldn't let him watch
Isn't it
Home
odd though?
Alone.
If you study film, the Marx Brothers were pioneers as the Three Stooges. It was slapstick humor, but
Yeah.
it was the basic kind of humor that made us laugh. And Groucho, he was he was the master at, the one-liners and the puns. Anyway,
I
Jenny,
love you. I love the
love
chat.
you much. Everyone, thank you. We will see you tomorrow. Make sure to tune in. It's going to be fun with Dr. Billitson's. I think that
I'll have you
she's
with over my ears while I'm mucking out horses.
oh,
No doubt.
and darling, just be
That's what I've
careful
been
out there. How
listening to.
cold is it out there?
It's pretty cold. It's gonna hear the wind. It's pretty horrific. Hold on.
All of a sudden it goes.
I better not do that actually, because it looks like
I
a
was
bit
going
of
to say, you don't need to do
the
that.
wind's not letting me open the window. I can see the window slapping back. Talk about the Three Stooges. See, I'm listening, Wayne. I'm
You're a
learning.
wise guy, you know.
You can, the wind's out there, believe me. I will be
Yuck, yuck,
careful.
yuck, 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 yuck. Yeah, there you go.
But fill the chat up for Wayne. We all appreciate the space that he creates. So that helps the algorithm. And there's ways
Yeah,
that you can feed it positively. So fill the chat up with the tarot cards you feel aligned with, and the Trinity of you. Or if you don't know the tarot at all, just put some traits that you feel, and I'll come in a few days and help you out on that one. And help
cool.
out
Thank you,
regardless
Jenny.
on people's, but fill up the chat for him, fill up the character spaces, that all helps. Because we do need to break through glass ceilings and there's no reason why we can't. So it's here, yeah, if you find it
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
I'll see you
It's safety
soon.
glass too.
Well,
It
yeah.
shatters. It doesn't fracture.
Sugar glass
Yeah, it's OSHA approved.
sparkles around you.
All right, everybody. We love you. See you tomorrow. Be good. Keep warm wherever you are, and if it's there in Australia, well, have another one on us.